It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable guy from left field, John Riley, and we welcome you as we get ready to talk sports. This podcast brought to you by the great people at DIXIELINE Lumber. Got projects? They've got materials. Want ideas? They can help you out. DIXIELINE Lumber. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. John Riley, good afternoon. Can you top what we just saw in the college playoffs and then what we saw Saturday, Sunday, going towards Monday Night Football in the NFL wildcard weekend? Wow.
Yeah, the NFL wildcard games were crazy, and I'm looking forward to talking about it.
We're going to go a lot of different directions. We do sports talk the way it should be done. It's my podcast. I'm not going to do anything different. What we do is we put a lot of different topics on the table. What we do is I express opinions. He hits us with opinions from left field, and then we open it up at the end for you to express your opinion. It's what we call Fans Forum. Not a lot of people do it the way we do it, but John Riley created it. It's John's segment of the show. Explain how Fans Forum works and how all the people on live stream can be part of it while we're on the air.
La Mesa, react to me. So if you've got a question or comment in the world of sports for Hacksaw, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum, which comes right at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Also, just a couple of other reminders. I write about sports every day of the week. I'd like you to check my website because you will see a volume of information, regardless of what the sports topic is, on my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. And when you go to the website, there's an orange box on the homepage. Fill it out. That will get you on the email list. We send out 2 newsletters a day to the people who join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Also want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Follow. When you follow, especially on the YouTube channel, you will get the alerts every time we put some new videos up on the YouTube channel, which we do quite often. Want you to join my Twitter All-Star team on X. Just type in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. Want you to follow me. We go a lot of different directions. You can help us grow this thing. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps this podcast a great deal. That's the business side. Let's talk sports. John, where do you want to start?
We'll start here with the Bulls. They got blasted in Boston.
Let's talk about Wild Card Weekend. Nice headline. These two quarterbacks were under siege. It was unbelievable. Final score, New England 16, the Chargers 3. Final score, all Patriots. The Bolts got their brains beat in. It was a horrific pounding that Justin Herbert took. 6 quarterback sacks, 11 hits, 12 pressures. He fumbled the ball 3 times. He was under siege. The Charger defense was superb, but Drake May kept making plays and eventually got them the victory. May finishes with 268. He got sacked 5 times along the way, but he made 12 chunk plays down the field, and that was the difference in the game. The Chargers got the ball to the 4, didn't get a touchdown. Got the ball to the 2, did not get a touchdown. Period, exclamation point. That game was over, and then it became tee-off time on Justin Herbert. New England's chokehold defense was unbelievable. A lot of reaction, all of it negative. Some of it directed at Justin Herbert that I think is really unfair. Should be directed at Jim Harbaugh. Has to be directed at his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. At the end of the day, Justin Herbert finishes the season with these stats: 60 sacks, 140 hits, 231 pressures. That's not on him. That's on what's not around him. Now, conversely, I really thought Greg Roman did a lousy job. They had to know that this was a big physical force New England defense. Hell, if I could see it on video, if I could read it in the stat sheets, they had to know this. And Roman never made any adjustments to help his quarterback. He let that quarterback sit in the pocket, try to find receivers, go through progressions, and the guy was getting whacked on virtually every play and was vicious in the entire second half. He never changed the tempo. He never went hurry up. He never went no huddle. He never threw slants across the middle to get him out of the pass rush. Where the hell was a tight end in the rest of the game after Gadsden caught one pass early on? There was no running game. You get the ball in at the 4-yard line and you don't try to pound it in there at all. And if you keep pounding, you're going to slow that defense down. Then it allows Justin Herbert to go play action and throw different passes. I think this whole thing was a horrific production from Greg Roman. And they wasted a phenomenal defensive performance in a hostile situation. Jesse Minter added more to his resume by what his defense did with the exception of one drive against Drake May. And how bad was it? In the post-game press conferences in the New England locker room, Patriot players told the reporters, the Charger players told them coming off the field, they had no idea how to handle or to recognize stunts, blitzes, delayed scrapes, and the coverages that they were throwing a blanket on the Charger wide receivers. And in the bigger picture of things, for everybody that's pro Jim Harbaugh, says leadership, tough guy, all that, that's all bullcrap. Because in 2 years' time, they played 6 games against physically rugged teams, and they've gotten their ass kicked all 6 times in Harbaugh's 2 years. This franchise would not be playing were it not for that quarterback. That quarterback's got more guts than anybody I know, and that quarterback is really beat up. End of the day, this was not on Justin Herbert. This is on Harbaugh, and this is on Greg Roman. This is not acceptable. Now, a year from now, they get everybody back healthy. Maybe it'll be a different team. But this is another wasted opportunity because Justin Herbert is now 0-3 in postseason play. And he's going to wear this baggage until he gets them a victory. You know, they had the 27-0 lead in Jacksonville 2 years ago and screwed it all up and lost. That was not on Herbert. That was on the defense. They had the horrors of the Houston loss last year where he threw 4 picks. And then this situation where you got battered pillar to post, 6 quarterback sacks, 3 fumbles. But this is right now, this is on Harbaugh and this is on Greg Roman. Agree or disagree, I don't give a damn. That's what I think. You tell me what you think. And then, Charger fan, you watched them because you love them. You watched them because you're a Charger hater. You just get on Fans Forum, start to dial in right now. Give me your reaction to what happened in Sunday Night Football. And John Riley says,
holy crap, what happened to you, man? You are out here all guns a-blazing. You got something to say.
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Chargers. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Okay, we all knew going into this game with that offensive line that it was just going to be a disaster, and it turned out to be that. And then of course there's chargering. That's always a factor when they get into this. But to your point, like Justin Herbert back there, I just keep thinking of like that Tom Sawyer song by Rush, modern day warrior, mean pride. I mean, that guy was just getting hit and knocked around. I mean, it's no wonder the ball got out a couple of times, but it was him against the world.
Yes.
So you just got to say, if you're a Charger fan, you got to just go, man, it's tough being a Charger fan.
But you got to point a finger as to why this happened. When things aren't going well, you change what's not working. At halftime, you were not able to move the football. You were not protecting Justin Herbert. At halftime, you come out. You go max protect with extra tight ends. You just protect him in the pocket, let him find receivers. Or you go hurry up offense. Or you throw slants, which is 3 steps, ball is out, boom. You run slants, you run out patterns, you throw to tight ends on crossing patterns that they can't cover. Where was any of that? They were running the same thing, and they asked him to sit in the pocket as the pocket was crushing, and he just took such wicked shots. This is all on Roman's inability to do anything different. And like I said, Greg Roman, in 2 playoff games with Justin Herbert, 1 offensive touchdown in 33 possessions.
Yeah.
Greg Roman, last 5 playoff games, he's been a coordinator for different teams. He's 1-5. What does that tell you about him and his inability to make adjustments? When the first thing doesn't work, you got to go to something else.
Well, the Chargers have like no offensive line, so they're already on Plan C. You know, what's Plan D and E when that doesn't work?
Well, you got a fullback and you put H-backs in there to help pass block.
Yeah, and then you've got 1 or 2 receivers you can throw to.
But you find guys who can get open.
Okay, I mean, or Justin Herbert needs to just be like just be like Josh Allen and be running. He's the tailback as well as the quarterback.
Well, he would have 57 yards rushing yesterday, scrambling for his life.
Unbelievable.
John, he just took vicious hits.
Oh, it was
second
brutal.
half. It was terrible. Charger fans, an opinion, please. Fans Forum chat box is open. We go from one team that lost to the other team that won that nearly lost.
Yeah, the Rams, they survived.
Nice headline. Rams living on borrowed time. They just don't look to be the same team right now. They won in Carolina. They screwed up what was a lead that at one point looked like they were going to run away with this game. Play calling got them into hot water, then momentum shifted, and the Rams just really staggered. Had a 17-7 lead, had a 4th down in Carolina territory. And instead, they went for it was 4th and 3, 4th and 4. Went for it, didn't get it, turned the ball over, momentum shifted. You kick a field goal, it's 20-7, and you just continue to dominate. And then the Rams secondary started to fall apart. Bryce Young started to get guys open. Rams kept taking penalties. Had 9 penalties in that playoff game. Matthew Stafford was Matthew Stafford, and you talk about guts. He stood in there in the face of the blitz, and he kept taking hits, but he made plays. He finished throwing for 304 and 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua had 10 catches for 112. Somehow the Rams survived 9 penalties. Somehow the Rams survived 7 drop passes, a bunch of them by Devontae Adams. But the 4th down call changed the whole momentum. And I'll tell you, their secondary in the last 3 or 4 weeks just doesn't look the same. I don't know if it's injuries or whether they're fatigued, but there's so many flags that they're taking that put them in a hole. Part of me says, God, this is not the same team that at one point was the number 1 team in the entire NFC, and now they got to go play Chicago. So are they living on borrowed time? I mean, if they don't get to the NFC final, this has to be a massive disappointment to me. But maybe they crank it back up and they get it going. It does not look like the same franchise, though.
Yeah, it's like really weird. It's a mystery here because, a few weeks ago we thought this was the team to beat going into the playoffs. Yep. And then all of a sudden you lose on the road, three road games. And
could have lost that one. Would have been 4 in a row.
Yeah, and they just kind of squeaked through this whole thing. I mean, had that Parkinson touchdown at the end. So I don't know. I mean, it's not Stafford though, is it? I mean, what? How do you explain it?
Your defense to me looks fatigued, and maybe there's problems in the offensive line with guys getting nicked up. I mean, Stafford got walloped on so many delayed blitzes in his face, and yet he stayed in there and he fished throwing for 304, despite the fact he was getting pounded. But it just does. It's not the same 53-man roster right now that we saw when they were rocking and rolling and were the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and now they got to go to the cold in Chicago. That's a tough call.
Well, it is, but they got more firepower than I think Chicago has. But which defense is going to show up? Rams fan, feel free. Join us. Los Angeles, Orange County. You're out there. You're following on this podcast. Want you to join us in Fans Forum. Let's talk about the scoreboard, the other games on the weekend.
Yeah, the games on this weekend were just unbelievably.
4th quarter comebacks. Holy cow, last-second wins. Let's talk Buffalo. Let's talk Jacksonville. Let's talk about Josh Allen. I mean, this is a really good Jacksonville defense. This game was on the road, which is about as hostile as it can get. And Josh Allen goes 28 for 35, throws for 273, and adds 2 more touchdowns running the football. Captain Clutch. Yeah, I mean, he had a 36-yard pass at the end of the game, which was critical. He had a 4th down quarterback sneak in, which he powered for 10 yards on a 4th down and 1. And it made the whole difference in the outcome of the game. Their wide receivers have been really erratic. Some of it's the byproduct of injuries. Khalil Shakur, 12 catches for 82 yards. Josh Allen drove these guys 2 touchdowns in the final 7 minutes on the road. And they put a lid on Trevor Lawrence. They really cooled him down. Jaguars quarterback throws for 207, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Wow. What a win. What a job. Josh Allen, MVP, NFL. San Francisco, Philadelphia, 23-19 Niners. 2 touchdown passes to Christian McCaffrey when the Eagles took away San Francisco's run game. There was no run game at all. Brock Purdy survived 3 turnovers in the course of the game. The defense put on an unbelievable stand, stopping the Eagles at the 20 on the final drive of the game. And how about the unorthodox win? Game-winning touchdown on a wide receiver, jet sweep, double reverse, throwback to McCaffrey, who was wide open down the sidelines. Just amazing they were able to execute that play, as complicated it is to get that handoff, get the second handoff, etc. 262 yards for Purdy, but it was not easy. Eagles are not the same. Jalen Hurts held 168. Saquon Barkley, 106. A.J. Brown, tantrum on the sidelines again, argument with the coach during the course of the game. 3 receptions for virtually no yards and a bunch of drop passes. McCaffrey denied the ability to run the football, became a receiver. He caught 6 for 66. And DeMarcus Robinson, probably 5th on the depth chart at wide receiver, 6 catches, 111. And Shanahan just continues to do it. Rosary beads in one hand, holy water in the other, playbook in front of him, finding ways to score. Hell of a coaching job by Kyle Shanahan. San Francisco beats Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got so many problems on the field and off the field with distractions. And then Chicago does it to Green Bay. It was a real struggle. I looked up and it was 21-3. I say, how the hell is this possible? How do the Bears have this lead? How does Green Bay have this lead over Chicago on the road? And then Caleb Williams just kept clicking, hit some field goals. All of a sudden, bingo, they come back. Caleb Williams, down 21-3 fourth quarter, leads 4 straight scoring drives. Finishes with 361, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Jordan Love, he goes for 323, 4 touchdowns, but the defense just kind of wilted at the end of the game. A lot of ill will after the game. Ben Johnson, post-game press conference, in the locker room, saying, F you, Green Bay. Come on, win with some class. That's hard. He's getting a lot of criticism around the league for his deportment. But that's heartbreaking. And Green Bay has fought through all this adversity, all the injuries. It's just not the same team. And yet Jordan Love just hangs in there. But, boy, when you lose a 21-3 playoff lead, but it's on the road, but they lost it all in the fourth quarter, that's tough. So, John, I'm done with opinions on the games. You tell me about Josh Allen. You tell me about Kyle Shanahan. You tell me about the Bears.
The Bears. I mean, man, you got to love the Niners, man. Just pulling this thing out. Yeah. They are playing so much with house money right now, way above expectations. And they just keep finding ways. And Purdy is just a remarkable young man. I mean, someone made a comment. He's like, he's Clark Kent, but when he turns into Superman, he still looks like Clark Kent. But did you notice at the end of the game, was Tom Brady was the color commentator on this one, and he was commenting about how the final play of the game, when Hurts threw it to the tight end, right in front of the post, like on the 2-yard line, Brady was saying it was such a basic play, and it didn't seem to be all that innovative for the final play of the year. Well, then later this morning, I saw a video clip of the timeout huddle where Sirianni and Hurts, and I don't know who the other guy was with the clipboard and a headphone set.
Kevin Patella, the coordinator. And they were talking about what they were going to play for this final play, and Hurts and Sirianni looked at the coordinator like with these, they looked like the Panasonic RCA dog with his head tilted. Like, what are you doing? What kind of a play is that? And
the funny comment was they said, well, that's when, Hurts and Sirianni knew that the season was over. And sure enough, that play was a dud.
Except that Goddard, the tight end, has been a big body mismatch guy, impossible to cover. And he had a good second half in the game. So you're going to get a mismatch of a bigger tight end on a linebacker down on the goal line. So that's a physical confrontation. But the ball got there and it got muscled out, et cetera. So Philadelphia's got – there's some problems. I think there's going to be a coordinator change. They're calling for everybody's head in Philadelphia, but that's Eagle fan. They fire everybody every day. But at the end of the day, I think there'll be a change in offensive coordinators. But collectively, it was just not the same offensive team. And A.J. Brown, the guy's a basket case. I mean, he's having a meltdown on the damn sidelines. He's caught only 3 passes. He's dropped a bunch more. This is a guy making all this amount of money. He's your go-to guy, and then he throws tantrums on the sidelines like it's never, ever his fault. It just, jeez.
A.J. Brown. Yeah. The other thing I think is worth commenting about, how about that 4th down pass by Caleb Williams? Running to the left, throwing with the right, off balance, and drops a dime, like in between 3 or 4 Packer defenders.
Parachuted it in, probably could have been picked, should have been picked, wasn't picked.
It was like brilliant. I mean, what a pass. And so, I mean, what a thrill for Chicago Bears fans. They finally feel like, they're back where they're supposed to be, the monsters of the Midway.
Well, that offense is really dynamic. I mean, that's Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. That linkage has come at a faster pace than I ever thought was humanly possible. And how about all things Josh Allen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's another Superman character, So that game, though, you just got to feel for the Jags. They had such a great year. They went from 4-13 to 13-4.
Well, they won 8 in a row at the end, but I'm sorry. I said Thursday, 7 of the 8 wins were against bottom feeders.
Yeah, but hey, scoreboard, baby. That's all that matters. But did you see the clip of the reporter at the press conference that offered like a consoling comment for Liam Cohen?
Yeah, it's a female reporter. She's just getting smoked nationally by the other media. The press conference is there to get answers. She's got a right to express an opinion about the great job. She spent her whole time praising Cohen. Please, it kind of sounded like it was a plant. What are you doing?
No, it's like his mom was in the press conference.
National media just kind of gone haywire about the post-game press conference. But you're there to ask pointed questions, explain what you thought, what you saw, what happened, etc. Not sit there and spend 38 seconds praising Liam Cohen for the accomplishment of the season.
Hey, what about tonight's game?
Houston, Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be hard for Aaron Rodgers, who I think's had a really good second half of the season. It's got progressively better, but they just don't have a lot of firepower guys. And they're playing Houston. And I think it's going to be really hard for Aaron Rodgers to put together scoring drives on these possessions to get them points. They may score a touchdown. They may get a couple field goals. But Houston is so good. So I think that's going to be a big challenge. And Pittsburgh's defense, even with T.J. Watt right now, is not vintage Pittsburgh Steelers defense. What do you think?
The Aaron Rodgers story is kind of fun to follow, but I'm all in on the Texans. It's my son's team. That's his team now since, the Chargers bailed on us in San Diego. And so you got to love that Texans defense is so ferocious. Like Will Anderson is a beast.
Exactly. I mean, that's a really, really good team, and they go get the ball. They got their secondary is a bunch of ball hawkers. So I think Pittsburgh's run ends, and which would then move Houston into the second round. Okay, you got opinions of games that we just talked about on the NFL scoreboard? Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. We're not done. NFL Notebook here. Turn the page, John.
Turn the page. Let's look at these coaches.
Let's talk about the coaching carousel. Okay, this is the latest on John Harbaugh. 9 teams, including teams that still have head coaches, 9 teams contacted Harbaugh about setting up interviews. Harbaugh has taken the weekend for family situations and has decided this morning he will interview with only 3 of the 9. He has not announced who he's interviewing with. I was told he's already had Zoom calls with the New York Football Giants, which I happen to think is probably the best job of any of the 8 jobs that are out there. So that's where we are with the Harbaugh situation. The most unique aspect to Harbaugh, though, he had player personnel decision power on the roster. I don't know if he goes somewhere else, he's going to get that power. Baltimore gave him that power. I don't think that if he winds up with the Giants, I don't think the Giants are going to have that power taken from the general manager and given to John Harbaugh. But he's only going to interview with 3. Jesse Minter, the Charger defensive coordinator, tell you what, he's getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of action. Interviews are about to begin. Ravens, makes a lot of sense. They know Minter through all the Harbaugh connections. He's also interviewing, in Cleveland, in Tennessee, and with the Raiders. They just got permission this morning to interview Jesse Minter. Kevin Stefanski, he's already had 2 interviews. Interviewed with the Giants first, interviewed with Atlanta, going to interview with Baltimore. He'll probably get hired. Mike McCarthy, the ex-Packer and Cowboy coach, interviewing with Tennessee, will interview with the Giants, and is going to interview in Atlanta. Veteran coach, out of it for a year, but tell you his resume is pretty impressive with quarterbacks. I'd say McCarthy is going to get another look-see. Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator, when they get through with the playoffs, he'll have interviews. Report is Miami now just contacted him, and Arizona. But, of course, he failed with the New York Jets, so I don't know if that works against him. And Clint Kubiak is this year's favorite ice cream, hot coordinator, the Seattle offensive coordinator. Atlanta wants to talk to him. Baltimore wants to talk to him. Raiders did a Zoom call with him. So those are the hot names on the board. And I think in the bigger picture, John, we got 8 openings. And we have so many really good candidates there this year. Veteran guys who got bounced with success on their portfolio, hot young coordinators, and veteran coordinators that probably going to be given a second chance because they've resurrected their career a couple of other places. So what do you think comes of the whole Harbaugh situation? And do you subscribe with me that Minter is as hot as it can be?
Yeah, wasn't Minter was a defensive coordinator at Michigan, wasn't he?
Yes, he came with Harbaugh.
So...
But he's got contacts with Baltimore, too.
Oh, he does. I'm just really surprised by that because he just seems young to me, you know, but maybe his track record is more than I expect. But I want to talk about Harbaugh for a minute because have you heard this rumor that like Matt LaFleur with the Packers has like 1 year left on his agreement and on his contract? And would they not extend him? Would they blow him out and then bring in Harbaugh to go to the Packers? Apparently, Harbaugh is like an Upper Peninsula Michigan man, and so he's part of the culture. Part of the culture, but they've opened talks already with a contract extension with Matt LaFleur. LaFleur's got such a great relationship in the development with Jordan Love. I don't think they're going to hit the eject button on Matt LaFleur. That thing in Green Bay, I think, was more driven by just the mess of injuries they had. They were never the same team after they lost the tight end Tyler Kraft about 5 weeks ago. And every one of their wide receivers, led by Christian Watson, has had significant injuries. They're on the field, they're off the field, etc. And then they lost Micah Parsons. So that, you know, they wanted to finish the season with 4 losses in a row because they were running out of players. And then obviously they had the lead and lost the lead in Chicago. But from everything I can gather, Matt LaFleur is going to get a contract extension because he has really developed Jordan Love. And I think the Packers realize they got themselves a special quarterback, and that coach is responsible for that quarterback. Yeah. And good on Robert Saleh, you know. I mean, props to him for like getting this 49er defense to be so good with these no-name guys. Yeah, with all their stars are on IR. Yeah, unbelievable. So, okay, that's all things from the coaching carousel. You got an opinion, fans forum chat box is open. Let's go from that. Just a quick recap on college football. Yeah, the Indiana Hoosiers, sledgehammers, and stout defenses. Absolutely amazing what we're seeing. That coach, man, oh man, 26-2 in 2 years. Just phenomenal. And, of course, they slugged Oregon right from the get-go. Fernando Mendoza, 5 touchdown passes, only threw for 177. Defense had a pick 6 on the first pass play of the game by Dante Moore, and they were relentless. 2 interceptions, fumble recovery. Dante Moore took 3 quarterback sacks in a row. Oregon just got overwhelmed by the physicality of the Hoosiers. Ducks, I will tell you, had to be humbling to stand there and watch Dan Lanning just have to labor through what really became a lopsided blowout game. But his kids hung in there and had a much better second half. But by then, the game was effectively over.
And that's tough. For all the success Oregon has had, I think Lanning's record is 48-8 in Eugene. They got beat 41-21 a year ago and then got lambasted 56-22 in this one. So Oregon's not quite there, but really close to there. Tough decision for Dante Moore. Does he stay another year? I don't think he's ready for the NFL. I think he should stay another year and grow. And then it was Miami beating Ole Miss. Carson Beck needed to make plays, and he did. Big touchdown pass, touchdown run. Miami put up 489 yards in offense. Miami ran off 88 snaps in that game against Ole Miss. Tristan Chambliss, Trinidad Chambliss, just a heroic day. He stood in there making plays in the face of that pass rush. Threw for 277, but the clock ran out on Ole Miss football. So now we got Ole Miss out, Oregon out. They were the sexy picks. Indiana the slugger, and Miami with its street tough defense. That's going to be a really interesting championship game a week from tonight.
Yeah, it's just Indiana is like invincible, you know? And for the longest time, we're like, oh, good old spunky Indiana. And then Indiana's pretty damn good, Indiana. Then Indiana beats Ohio State and Oregon twice. And you're like, holy crap, they're like the 85 Bears, man. They're just like invincible.
Yeah.
You know, and people were commenting about that. You know, now it's finally, you know, Indiana and the Bears are kind of close by. They're getting some good football in the Midwest. But, you know, I want to ask you about the Miami situation because, you know, there was talk in the very beginning, you know, could Notre Dame have had that slot? And it goes back to the whole controversy about the playoffs. Some people are saying, hey, it's not good to have this expanded playoff because then the best teams aren't necessarily, you know, in a good position to win. I mean, they still have to fight it out. So isn't it surprising to you, though, that Miami has made it this far? I mean, considering how they started, how they barely got in?
Yeah, but then Miami's offense has been skitterish, but the defense has really carried them the second half of the season. And they've earned it. Look at who they have beaten to get there. Look who they beat during the course of the season to get there. You know, remember, Miami beat Notre Dame way back.
Yeah, they did.
So they've earned it, and they've slugged their way through it. So I'm not arguing about who didn't get there, you know. Is it hard that Notre Dame didn't get in? Yeah. Is it hard that Texas didn't get in? Yeah. But look who's there. These guys really earned this.
They totally earned it. And I think this is why the playoff system is great. I mean, because we get to see it's not Alabama against Ohio State. You know, it's like what we seem to be getting all the time, or maybe a Georgia here and there.
Okay, college football. Fans Forum notebook is open. Feel free. Jump on board. One final football note before we go to halftime. This involves your transfer portal.
Yeah, quarterback stories in UW.
Yeah, let's just buzz through this. University of Washington. Damon Williams, the quarterback, who just 4 days prior had signed an NIL agreement for next year to come back, and then changed agents. New agent shows up and recommends file for the transfer portal. University of Washington went crazy. University of Washington said, we are going to file a suit against this guy for tampering with this kid's NIL agreement. Within 2 days after Washington said there will be legal repercussions, Damon Williams changed his mind, backed out, and decided to come back to the University of Washington. Unique story, NIL contracts. Guys signed for NIL payoff money. University of Cincinnati informed their star quarterback, Brandon Sorsey, who went to Texas Tech.
Oh, that's the guy.
You owe us $1 million. Check page 2 of your NIL agreement. There's a buyout clause in there. The kid owes Cincinnati $1 million for leaving to go to Texas Tech. Ole Miss, I don't know that we've heard the end of this. Trinidad Chambliss had gone to the NCAA under legal advice to ask for an extra year of eligibility because he spent 2 years at Division II Ferris State in which he never played. He wanted to use that one of those years, a.k.a. like a redshirt year, and have it tacked on to the back end of his stay at Ole Miss so he could play. The NCAA said no. NCAA clarified it today by saying we can't approve this because you did not file documentation about injuries. That has to be part of the equation. Why you did not play, were you hurt? Otherwise, your clock is ticking away, and we're not going to let you do this. So we'll see if there's a follow-up there. At USC, they lose their quarterback of the future. His name is Husan Longstreet. They won a big recruiting war a year ago to get him. He was redshirting this year. He's got 4 years eligibility left. When Jaden Mayava just announced he was coming back for one final year at Southern Cal, Longstreet went into the transfer portal this weekend, which is a big setback for Link Riley. By the way, also, they are interviewing a new defensive coordinator candidate. Pretty good credentials. USC is interviewing Gary Patterson. He's the one who built Texas Christian into a national power.
Yeah.
He's been out of football since he stepped aside as a head coach about 3-4 years ago. Once back in, great track record as a defensive guy. So maybe Gary Patterson's going to come fix that. Two things that just happened within the last hour. LSU has landed Arizona State star quarterback Sam Leavitt. He was going around the country. How much are you going to pay me? Kind of looks kind of shabby. I mean, Sam Leavitt did a great job for 2 years at Arizona State. Then he got hurt, opted out for his final year, and he was visiting everybody. Got any money? I'll come visit your coaching staff.
Was he going to Kentucky?
He was, and then backed out. But he's gone to LSU, him and Lane Kiffin. And Oregon has wound up with an insurance policy quarterback, Dominic Raiola, kid that was at Nebraska, started for 2 years, freshman, sophomore season, decent numbers, got hurt. He's just signed at Oregon this morning. He's going in there maybe as an insurance policy if Dante Moore leaves. The bigger plan is Lanning wants Moore to stay, growing to be a superstar. Raiola can use this as a redshirt year to recover from a broken leg and be good to go with 2 more years once Dante Moore exits. So that's where on the quarterback front. Your turn.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Chambliss at Ole Miss, and it's interesting how the clock starts ticking. You have 4 years of eligibility, and we just knew that back in the day that was a very rigid structure. And then if you transferred, you had to sit out a year, so you really only had 3, right?
Well, you got 5 years to get 4 in.
Okay. So if you sat out a year, you still would have 1 more year of.
But he sat 2 and never played at Ferris. Then he played 2 and won the national championship.
Yeah.
And then he went to Ole Miss. So his 5-year window's expired. And his statement is, well, I didn't play 2 years. Their statement is, there's medical forms you're supposed to give us as a rationale as why you were not there. Your five-year window is closed, and they didn't put the medical forms in the application. I don't understand that.
I guess that's kind of to my point, because the rules on all of this have suddenly gone from being very rigid to very squirrely. Because now the players got an extra year for COVID. Now players don't have to count JC time as part of their 4 years. Then you got the whole thing about kids getting drafted and then in the NBA and then coming back to play. And then it blurs also the borderlines of amateur to pro as it pertains to the Olympics. Those boundaries have blurred as well. But I just remember back in the day, those lines were very rigid and you never crossed them.
Oh, back in the day, freshmen could not play college football. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I say, college football is broken. It's unbelievably broken.
Yeah.
Okay, you got an opinion about what just happened in the transfer portal? Feel free, jump on board. We are at halftime. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber. Lots of reasons you might want to do business at DIXIELINE Lumber. One item, windows. Second item, doors. And in this really cold weather, if you live in an older house and you feel drafts and your furnace is running all the time, or you know what July and August can be here in San Diego and it's hot, doors, windows make a difference, John.
Yeah, and here we're presenting the big doors on the screen. These are like these expansive patio doors that merge your indoor and outdoor living spaces. But DIXIELINE also can help you out. Like if you just have a bathroom window that needs to be fixed, or a little window that needs to be replaced. They got a team. They come out. They'll bring the representative. He'll come out. He'll inspect everything. They'll give you a proposal. And then the team comes in and they're clean. They keep everything organized, and at the very end, you get a really quality product. And DIXIELINE, the beauty of this is that when they install windows, you're not only getting the window warranty from the window manufacturer like Andersen or Milgard, but DIXIELINE is backing it too. Okay, so you have the trust of a person or a company that's been in San Diego for 100 years.
Been there, done that. I can attest. So can he and his castle. DIXIELINE lumber, doors, and windows. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. We are at halftime. We do sports talk the way it should be done. A lot of topics, a lot of opinions, and when we're done, Fans Forum is open for business. John, again, for all the new people that are just joining us on live stream, how do they get on Fans Forum?
Okay, well, your way to get on is just to drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, or on Facebook. And I already see just so many guys on here. Greg and Nathan and Chris and Michael and Steve and Caleb and another Mike. And, I mean, everybody seems to be here. I saw Callan was in there. There's Richard. I'm leaving out names, but we see you up here. You know, just leave your best take. I only usually take one per person, but we'll try to get you involved in Fans Forum at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines.
And if you're joining us Fans Forum, just make sure you tag where you are. Where are you watching us? I mean, we got people from Ireland, from South America, from Texas and New Mexico and Illinois and Michigan. It's absolutely amazing. Roll call. But just tagline there. Also, just a couple of other reminders. I write about sports every day of the week. Want you to check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. It's their first thing every morning. You won't believe the volume of information of sports that I write about with detail. Check my website. Want you to join us on social media. Become part of my Twitter All-Star team. Just type in on X, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button, or you could follow me at Hacksaw1090. Want you to share, subscribe, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. And when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, ding, 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 you'll get alerts when we put additional videos up, and we do it virtually every day of the week in addition to the podcast. So lots of ways to follow us on social media. Glad to have you as part of our team. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. It helps us a great deal. 5-star rating. Can we get a 5-star rating for this podcast? Do that, too. Okay, John, let's go to the second half. All things baseball. You ready?
Follow me, damn it. Okay. All right, let's talk some Padres. There's some big trade talks here.
Yeah, let's talk about where the Padres are 4 weeks out from the start of spring training. They have yet to solve all the question marks on the roster. I've been told the Padres have re-entered trade conversations looking for solutions. Now, I understand a one-year rental. I understand this guy would be of value. I don't have an understanding who A.J. Preller is going to give up to make this deal happen. The Padres are going after Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers, who's got 1 year left, very affordable contract at $8 million. But who have the Padres got that Milwaukee would want? That's a big issue. And by the way, Milwaukee is playing the prices right. They're shopping him everywhere, to the Yankees, to the Mets, who have pitching needs too. But the Padres are in on the run. Freddie Peralta, 1 year at a very affordable contract. You get him in here, you could offer him multi-year deals and creative financing. I don't know if they get the right resources to get him out of Milwaukee. The Padres have reopened trade talks for a right-handed first baseman, Tristan Casas. Red Sox, they had interest in him first half of last season, then he got hurt. Red Sox are still looking for other types of players. Maybe Casas winds up to be a bat to work with Gavin Sheets, to work with if Cronenworth is still here. So that's where we are with the Padres. But, John, we're sitting here 4 weeks out. They have a huge question mark beyond starter 1 and 2, because we don't know what starter 3 Joe Musgrove is going to be like, and the starter 4 and 5 really trustworthy. So that's where we are right now. I'd like to see Peralta here, but boy, everybody else is bidding on him too.
Yeah, the Brewers are weird. Like they'll trade away like some of their better players.
They trade away pitching all the time.
All the time. I mean, you're like, what are you doing over there? Have you heard anything on the extension for A.J. Preller?
No, and I don't understand why, but anything is possible. This could happen right before spring training starts, or maybe indirectly, Eric Grupner, vis-a-vis the Seidlers, say, finish the job. Get us to National Championship Series. Show us that this whole thing works. Then we'll give you the extension. Maybe he's got to prove himself in this final year. Because as dynamic as he's been and all the unique big deals he's made, they haven't bleeping won in October when it's really been the most important time, no?
Yeah, they're like scratching the surface, but you're right. They got to get over the hump or at least show us something, at least get to the big dance.
Yeah, I mean, it is odd to me. They kept saying, we'll get it done, we'll get it done. Now it is January. We still got 4 weeks before spring training comes. If it's not done by opening day, that leads me to believe that Grupner and those people are saying, prove it. Get us there, and then you get the extension.
Yeah, I agree. If they don't get it done by then,
okay.
Yeah.
We go from that. Padre fans, feel free to jump on board. Talk about the other teams here.
Yeah, the Dodgers, the Angels spending and not spending.
Let's talk about the Dodgers. They, by the way, are in on the Freddie Peralta trade talks with Milwaukee, though I have no understanding why they would need another starting pitcher. But the Dodgers went out and got some more utility guys. They just signed Andy Ibanez, super utility guy. He's kind of like Kiki Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
Ibanez, Detroit Tigers. He played a lot of different positions. Got a little bit of pop. I think he's a .262 lifetime hitter. They also signed a second baseman, came from the Minnesota Twins. Got a little bit of power, Ryan Fitzgerald. The bigger story is what's happening in Anaheim. Man, they are under siege. They are under so much fire from the media and from their fans. And the Angels signed another utility man, Nick Madrigal. Once upon a time, highly regarded prospect Chicago Cubs. Didn't have a good year anyhow. They've signed him. He comes in to compete for a spot on the roster. Here's the shocker of them all. Now, the Angels have been really active. They've added 9 players in this offseason. They've added 5 pitchers, kind of rentals, guys coming off injuries, the Drew Pomerances of the world, the trade for Grayson Rodriguez. The Angels' payroll is $30 million below what it was last year. And they still have the money that Rendon gave them. Where are you going to spend it? Most of the marquee free agents are gone. You haven't really added anything that makes a difference. And their general manager, Perry Manassian, was condescending to the media. I'm not answering that question about what our game plan is. Well, your game plan is where you are in the standing, and your game plan is what I see on your roster. I sure don't see a hell of a lot of upgrades or any difference makers with the Angels. And evidently, the Nolan Arenado talks have stalled because the Angels don't want to inherit a larger chunk of the Arenado contract. And now Arenado's having second thoughts about, maybe I don't want to play for these guys. So why are the Angels nickel and diamond everybody? And that's a big issue. I look at the makeup of the roster and say, have you done anything that really changes your roster? Hell no. That's where we are. Dodgers, Angels, your opinion?
Yeah, you say, do they have a game plan? No, they don't have a game plan. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Who is the star that you want to build around? Mike Trout doesn't seem to be that guy. Is it Joe Adele, or is it Zato, or is it Logan Hoppe? I mean, who's their guy? What's the identity of the franchise?
Yeah, a bunch of young players with no established leadership anymore. With apologies to Mike Trout because of all the injuries. And you said payroll will be what the payroll was at least last year. Well, you're $30 million below it, and you got the Rendon money, and I don't see any deals.
But they got Kirby Yates, man. They just got these mid guys. These guys that are like
past tense.
They're generic, like placeholders. They've had moments in their career. And by the way, the Dodgers. I was watching, ESPN, and you see the little ticker on the bottom, and it was something about Freddie Freeman wasn't going to play for Team Canada in the WBC. Did you see anything about that?
No, not yet. But a bunch of players are saying they're going for it. But a bunch of players are concerned about the timing of the tournament. It's at the end of spring training, and there's an injury factor, especially with Freeman. So that's probably got something to do with it.
Yeah, if I remember, it was like there was some odd reason, or it was not disclosed why, or it was personal reasons or something. So, because Freddie Freeman ain't no spring chicken.
No, and he's coming off significant ankle and knee problems.
Yeah.
And I bet that's the rationale there. So, Dodger Angel fans forum, chat box is open for you. Quickly, in the baseball notebook, go ahead.
Here we go. Started with the Cubs.
Cubs win the bidding war for Alex Bregman. 5 years, $175 million. No opt-outs. Has to play there forever. Full no-trade clause. Perfect fit to go to Wrigleyville and hit home runs. Red Sox desperately wanted him to come back to Fenway Park. Bregman gets the 5-year term that he wanted rather than the shorter term that Boston offered him. And this comes right on the heels of the Cubs' acquisition of pitcher Edward Cabrera from Miami. So Chicago looks like the real deal in their division. The Yankees have hit a wall with Cody Bellinger. Yankees offered him 5 years, $150 million, and the agent came back and asked for 7 years, $210, and the Yankees say no. It is now called an impasse. And the Yankees got holes everywhere. They got holes in their pitching staff, and now they're going to have another hole in their batting order, but they're not going to give a 31-year-old Bellinger a 7-year contract, despite what the agent wants. Philadelphia meeting today with Bo Bichette, Toronto. That's the second get-together with him. Evidently, the Phillies have decided if we're going to invest money, I'd rather invest it in Bichette than JT Realmuto, whom they've not been able to come to an agreement with. So Bichette to Philadelphia. We'll see what nightfall brings. We'll see what tomorrow brings if he's going there, because he's not going back to Toronto because the Blue Jays just keep signing other players. New York Mets. Kyle Tucker back in the conversation there. Tucker's running out of places to sign because everybody spent all their money, but there's still a great debate. I don't know if the Mets want to give Kyle Tucker a 7-year contract, but everybody that I canvassed with of the opinion that teams that take Tucker with the big average value, but we'll sign him for 3 or we'll sign him for 5. We're not going to 7. Of course, the Mets are also out there trying to make the deal for Mackenzie Gore. So maybe that's the acquisition, or maybe they're going back to Tucker because they can't get the Gore trade done. And the last one is Detroit, and this is unique. Tarek Skubal has had 2 unbelievable seasons. He's gone to arbitration. He has asked for a record contract in arbitration, $32 million, most of all time. Detroit has offered him only 16. I don't know why Detroit's being cheap with this guy. This guy has been everything to your franchise. You think you can be a big-time team in that division? Shouldn't you want Skubal back, even on a 1-year deal at $32 million? Usually they'll split the difference, but there's a big difference between 16 and 32 million.
Yeah, I'd say.
And he goes to the arbitration hearing. He could probably win just based on what other guys are getting and based on what he's accomplished in the last year and a half. So that's going to be fascinating to see if there's some middle ground they can reach. But why is Detroit being so damn cheap with this guy? This guy is the face of your franchise. John, go ahead.
Yeah, do you get the sense that the market is kind of slow? You know, or is it? I mean, I know Bregman just signed, but it just seems like there's a pile of guys. You know, maybe not the superstars, but there's a lot of like mid-tier free agents that it just seems like that dam hasn't broken.
Well, a lot of guys have signed, but the big guys always wait to see what the guy next to him is going to do. And now that Bregman's gotten 175, maybe everybody else will fall in place just underneath that high water mark with Bregman. But in terms of the mid-level guys, yeah, there's a bunch out there. I've got a laundry list of names. Maybe we'll run through it on Thursday. There's a bunch out there, but those price tags are coming down because everybody shot a lot of money into the market so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thinking. It seems like things have slowed down because there's just people have a little bit less money to go around, and there's a lot of unknowns around the sport and everything else. So, the other thing is that Bregman, okay, when he signed 5 years, no trade, no opt-outs, it's 5 years commitment in Chicago. And I looked it up real quick, like how old was he? And he's 31.
Right.
So this will carry him to age 36. So he has a chance maybe to have like another year or two at the end.
But it's a really unique fit because he's got power. He's a great leader, multi-position guy, and he's playing at Wrigley Field, which means you can hit home runs.
Yeah.
And he hit home runs at Fenway Park till I got hurt in the middle of the season. So this is a really good acquisition. It'll be intriguing to see. Chicago's got so many infielders now that they may trade one. There's rumor that they might trade their third baseman, Matt Shaw, who's a really hot young player, or maybe Nico Horner. So there might be another transaction coming from Chicago to move his salary, move a player to get they think they're going to try to get another frontline pitcher. So that's where we are, all things Major League Baseball. And as you say, the first domino, Bregman's fallen. Now we'll see how quickly these other guys fall. Let's talk about the baseball and the baseball commissioner.
Yeah, the commissioner thinking outside the box, Lee.
Yeah, let's talk about Rob Manfred. He's done some really unique different things. He met with the media in Florida this past end of the week, And he said actively, we are considering changing the schedule. The 162-game schedule is unbelievable grind. There's a feeling that baseball should go from 162 back to the original number of 154. I don't think the owners are going to agree. Owners never give back anything, and the owners never give any money back. No. But he said he also came up with this, and I don't know how that executed, how it would be structured. He says we want to do an in-season tournament. Now, wait a minute. Time out. You play 162 games. Why would we need an in-season tournament? Well, the response I was told was the proposal would be a World Games tournament. And you'd stage it in the middle of the season, sandwiched around the All-Star break, and you would take the top players, Team USA, Team Canada, Team Japan, or Team Pacific Rim, and you would have, in essence, maybe a WBC Classic. But they want to do that as an in-season tournament. Sorry, I'm not excited about the NBA Cup or anything like that. But, hockey had the
Four Nations.
Four Nations. So baseball says, yeah, we got this window. Maybe we have a World Cup of baseball during the All-Star break. Wouldn't be a lot of games. Novel? I don't know. Anyhow, so Manfred is talking about that. Manfred's also come up with something else. Agents are not going to sign this agreement. Union probably won't sign it. Manfred says, in the off-season, it's called the Hot Stove League, we should develop a free agent window where you can sign players from December 1 to December 20. That's the window. So you got the winter baseball meetings, then you open the window for free agency. The agents say, hell no, we want the right to shop our players over a long period of time, and they can pick where they want to go right up to the beginning of spring training, if you will. But Rob Manfred's opinion is, let's grab the sports fans, the baseball fans, by the shirt 1st of December and have all the attention in sports on baseball free agency. That's kind of novel. That's kind of unique. Like or dislike that?
There's a lot of reaction to this whole midseason tournament online. Most of it negative, at least from what I've seen. But you're a curmudgeon. You probably want to go back to the American League with the National League where they had no interleague play.
Don't blame me for being experienced.
But I like the new ideas. I mean, I do. I mean, I think the in-season tournament is great, not only for the players to get to represent their nation, make a couple more bucks, sure, but it gives everyone else some time off, and to rest, and your pitching staff can kind of reset. So I can see a lot of benefit to this. The NBA Cup should be, by the way, a special thing, but everyone like you is like, who cares about that? I mean, it's the in-season tournament for hockey is terrific. The one that is done for, during the European soccer season is terrific when they have the Euro Cup and the Nations League and all that. So more of that, please, man.
Okay. Now, what do you think about the free agent window, the deadline?
Well, I mean, imagine if it was only in the month of December. Well, at the end of December, there's still leftover free agents, and then there would still be spring training has to start in 6 weeks. So teams would still have to be able to sign going into spring training, right? Mm-hmm. You couldn't possibly fill out your full roster by then. But at least what Manfred's doing is he's putting a lot of topics on the table, knowing that when he goes into his negotiation for the CBA with Tony Clark, he could say, well, I'll take that trade window thing off the table. It's a little bit of a bluff for negotiation. Okay, you're a baseball fan. You want a mid-season baseball tournament? I like the World Cup idea. Mm-hmm. But how do you do it, and how much time does it take up? How do you execute a World Cup of baseball? That's details, Okay. You just got to agree on it, the concept. Do you want it or not? Okay, feel free. You're a baseball fan. Hey, that's why we put these topics on the table. Let's go to the NBA. The NBA is cooking here, and we got some trouble spots. Yeah, we really do. Enough. They have had so much of the problems with street clothes, Anthony Davis. Enough. Now he's gone. Now he's gone with torn ligaments in his hand. He can't stay on the floor. Surgery likely coming for AD in Dallas. This is a week after they took him off the trade block. Get this. Since they got him from the Lakers
at the trade deadline last year, John. Mm-hmm. He's played 29 games. He's missed 54. He just can't stay on the floor. He is always hurt.
Wow.
Ankle, foot, calf, knee, and now torn ligaments in his hand. The other guy, they've had enough. Ja Morant, goodbye, Memphis. They're tired of the act. They have a better record when he's hurt and on the injured list than when he's playing on the team. They are shopping him. They're just tired of all the crap. This has been going on for 3 years now. Him, his posse, guns, his irreverence towards leadership, coaches, referees, just goes on and on and on. They're done with him. The report is that Toronto was just trying to put a package together, or Minnesota trying to put a package together, might try to get Ja Morant. Trade deadline, I think, is February 5th in the NBA. Boy, Anthony Davis, he just cannot get out from underneath the black cloud.
He's like the Anthony Rendon of NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really bad for him. And, yeah, and he's the symbol of that terrible trade. I mean, the Mavericks fans are still pissed about. So nothing is going to end right on this. Thank God they've got Kyrie Irving and Cooper Flagg and something else to be entertained by. But doesn't it seem like this Ja Morant thing, like wind the clock back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and Morant was this fresh guy that came from Dayton, and he was like really a bright light in the NBA, and then suddenly they were saying this could be the face of the NBA, Ja Morant, and then he gets in trouble, and it seems that he gets scolded and disciplined, and then he gets into more trouble. And it just seems like it's amplifying. I mean, I saw a clip online where, there was a fight on the court, and he's out there, he's off the bench, he's getting involved, and you're like, dude, chill out, There's something ain't right with him.
Yeah, exactly. And they're done. They are tired of the act. So, NBA fan, feel free. Last segment, hot headlines. Here we go.
San Diego FC, big changes.
I don't know if I call this a gamble, but SDFC is getting rid of the first player they ever signed. They just announced on Friday they are not bringing back Chucky Lozano. Now, this has blown up in their face. They paid $12 million to get him out of the Netherlands to come here. They gave him a $7 million contract to play. He was the first player they introduced. The fans' reaction has been spectacular. Again, this is a bi-border franchise that has as many Mexican soccer fans cheering Lozano as American soccer fans in San Diego. He scored 9 goals early, and then it all unraveled. He had a lot of injury problems. Then he had an ugly confrontation in the locker room at halftime of a game in which he said things that he cannot bring back, things about teammates, things about the coach, Mikey Veras, things about the organization. Got suspended, never started another game. This is blown up in their face. And I'm not going to say there's a risk, but they built this franchise's following about Hispanic following of soccer, and this kid, not a kid, totally embraced by the soccer community, and it's ended so badly about the way he acted. And if you follow the press conferences like I do, you read between the lines, and you hear words like unity, fit, dedication, sportsmanship, and they're not making any reference to Lozano when they use words like that. And at the end of the day, it proves one thing. This franchise is run by the general manager, Tyler Heaps, and by Mikey Veras, the coach, and no player is going to be bigger. And the other shocker to me, this is the second time in about a 5-year window this has happened. MLS, Los Angeles, signed the prior Mexican star before Lozano became established. His name was Chicharito. Javier Hernandez. He came here totally self-destructed, and he got let go. And the same thing has happened to Lozano. I know it's a culture thing. I know it's an emotional game. These players are really different. And it's a global game, which means you got different aspects of persona running the franchises. But this Lozano thing is ending up like the Chicharito thing ended up, as a lot of Mexican fans that still carry a grudge about that. So it's a bit of a risk. But I know the leadership of SDFC. I've talked to these people. They know players. They know where to go get them, a.k.a. like Anders Dreyer. But this is a bit of a risk because they're getting rid of the fans' favorite in Chucky Lozano. So that's a big story. Team USA, we've talked a ton about the U.S. soccer side. They didn't need to hear this, but now it's just happened. They've just lost another one of their young players. Tyler Adams suffered a really bad knee injury playing in the English Premier League. And there's a huge question mark for him now about 2026 post-surgery. Ricardo Pepi, playing in the Netherlands, broke his arm. He's out at least a couple of months for Team USA Soccer. Golf. This thing's working at warp speed. Brooks Koepka, who last week opted out of LIV, over the weekend applied for readmission to the PGA Tour. PGA this morning, about 11 a.m., evidently accepted the application, but he has to pay $5 million re-entrance fee to get his tour card back. The money has to be directed to a PGA charity. He has to forfeit his share of the PGA Equity Fund, which is big bonus money for what you do over the course of a calendar year, $50 million. Yeah, he's forfeiting that right to collect a potential of $50 million over the next 5 years. He's come. Is the next one Bryson DeChambeau? Is he going to agree? Because now there is a platform. You can come back in if you do, and Koepka just did it.
So that's punitive.
Whew. Well, I guess you got to have bylaws because the guy violated his tour card, but
he did.
That's pretty fierce. And the last topic on the table, the NHL and the International Ice Hockey Federation met with the IOC. They went to Cortina, Italy. They looked at the new arena. They played an exhibition game in the arena. All the seats are not in the arena. There's still windows that have yet to be put in the arena. There's still problems with the refrigeration system in the arena. There were holes in the ice. There's holes in the outer walls. At the end of the day, they've indicated, we think in the next 4 weeks we can get all this done. But they really struggled to get this, quote, exhibition game done. They only have 3 dressing rooms done. You've got all these international teams going to be using all these dressing facilities. Italy should not be a third world country. I just don't understand why this has happened. They've had 3 years to get this damn thing done. It's not done. They think they'll get it done over the next 4 weeks. But I saw the picture. I saw a picture of the hole in the ice because of a problem with the refrigeration system. It took them forever to fill the hole with water and to refreeze it and to pack it. And you're going to play all these Olympic Games on this one ice surface, and you got all these problems in the building still.
Now, that's not where they're going to do the figure skating, is it?
Yes.
That there, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is a disaster.
Well, they think they can get it done, but it's been 3 years.
Well, yeah. Well, clearly this is ridiculous. I mean, Milan is a first-class city. I mean, in Europe, I don't understand this. It just seems like poor planning. But let's talk about San Diego FC for a minute. It must have been really bad what went down behind closed doors in that clubhouse, that Mikey Veras has got this bad juju going with Chucky Lozano. So it's tough, to see a star. And boy, when Lozano played, when he had the ball, it was electric. The ball was like glued to his ankle as he maneuvered through the defense. What an electric player. And he seemed like a really good guy, but obviously I don't know who to blame, what's going on. It's just awful. But don't blame the culture. It's not, there's so many, Mexican players in America that are great citizens, great people, so just because there's 2 bad apples, don't blame the culture.
But 2 bad apples, the biggest names in that country.
Well, yeah, but, that's not representative.
How risky is them doing this and not bringing Lozano back and try to patch it and make it work when you consider Lozano was the face of the franchise to this Hispanic community on both sides of the border crossing?
Well, they're just going to have to find another face of the franchise. And if it's not, our buddy from the Netherlands, or is he
Dreyer.
Dreyer. Yeah, why couldn't his name was escaping me. So they'll do something, but I'd imagine though that San Diego FC is still going to get some return compensation depending on where Lozano is sold to or traded to or loaned to, right?
Yeah, but not the equivalent of what they paid. They paid $12 million to get him out of the Netherlands to come from Eindhoven. I'm not going to say it's a risk because these people know soccer players, but obviously it's a blow because this was the guy they marketed to everybody cross-border, which... It's shocking. It really is that they could not make it work, but they've actually walked away from him.
Interesting.
Yeah, really is. Okay, that's all things on this podcast. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. You need doors, you want windows, you've been thinking about renovation, think DIXIELINE. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. John, here comes Fans Forum. Man, have we got a lot of people stacked up here. Go ahead.
We do. And this is awesome, by the way. Music to my ears. Thank you very much for the $50 donation. Hey, to promote league parity, we must free Manny Machado from his massive contract. His perfection is too powerful. Sharing his talent is a selfless gift to Major League Baseball, ensuring other teams have a fighting chance. An act of supreme generosity.
That's kind of a reach. I don't know if that's pro-Manny, anti-Manny. It was never going to happen. Nobody's going to take the kind of
sarcasm.
Yeah, but that's okay. End of the day, the Padres have got problems. The Padres have still got to solve the pitching issues. They still got holes in their roster. It's obvious to me there's a limitation of the amount of money that they're allowing A.J. Preller to spend. It's complicated. A.J. doesn't have a lot of contracts to trade that he can trade anybody wants, and A.J.'s got holes in his farm system by virtue of past trades. So he's got 4 weeks. He's always found a way, but the clock is kind of running out. What's that thing you call sand in the hourglass? So yeah. We're going down there, and there's not a lot of players out there to go get that are difference makers. So to me, this is just a byproduct of buying on credit cards for years upon years, and that credit card really comes due. But this is not on Machado. This is not on Tatis. This is about the methodology of how A.J. Preller makes player acquisitions.
Free Manny. It's like freeing Nelson Mandela. Obviously, a lot of sarcasm here. Is Manny, the Shohei Ohtani of baseball?
No. He's a really good player, but he's not a good player in postseason.
Yeah, well, he's had moments. He has.
He's got a career 211 batting average.
I know.
He's the one that said to me, look at the back of my baseball card. Well, I looked at the back of the baseball card, and it says 211 postseason.
You should have handed him one of your extra Sports 690 baseball cards.
Right.
So, Machado, you've jumped in bed with him for the whole entirety of his contract. So you just got to live with it. And you got to find a way to just make it work. And, is he a little prickly? Yeah. Is he a leader? Has he matured? Yes, he has. Is he one of the top 10 players in baseball? He's right around that, wouldn't you think?
But you're paying an enormous amount of money.
You are, but you've kind of signed that deal. Yes. So you're not going to trade him unless you're willing to eat a huge portion of that contract.
That's not going to happen.
And that's not going to happen. So you have to set all that aside and just say, he's our guy, and we're going to make this work. Okay,
let's move on. Interesting. Thank you for the contribution to help pay our bills. Let's see what the next guy's got to say.
Okay, and again, a big thank you here to Caleb for a $10 donation. Hey, thoughts on the ex-Cardinals receiver, Michael Floyd?
Oh, good player, a lot of injuries. Virtually everybody in Arizona's got injury problems. I don't know how good a coaching job that is, because there's a history of failure under Michael Bidwell, and there's an ownership situation there, and there's a front office situation there. John Gannon did a good job in chunks of time, especially on defense. They never solved the riddle with Kyler Murray, and they gave him a lot of money, and now they're stuck with that contract. And there's no way to get out because the salary cap hit is terrible, and they can't get healthy. And so, and like I say, I just don't know that's a very good organization right now. And you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., boy, that kid's gifted, but he's been hurt all the time. James Conner's had 2 major injuries at running back. Kyler Murray can't stay on the field. Floyd's part of that injury equation. They got a phenomenal tight end in Trey McBride, but I just don't think they have enough players in defense. It looked like they quit on John Gannon at the middle of the season. And then in the bigger picture, who wants to go work for Michael Bidwell?
Exactly.
You look at the track record of Bidwell's ownership. Jeez, that's what I think.
Well, you said that Robert Saleh is one of the candidates potentially for that job.
He's going to interview.
Interesting. Any other names kind of popped up? Because the Cardinals job is not one of the more attractive jobs on the open market there.
It's really interesting. The Cardinal job, the Raider job, and the Falcon job, hardly anybody's been linked to those jobs. So that's kind of weird. The only guys I've heard in Arizona, SALEH, KUBIAK out of Seattle, and there was one other veteran defensive coach. It might have been Jim Schwartz out of Cleveland, former defensive coordinator there. But I've not heard a lot of names there. But I don't think it's a sexy job just because of ownership.
Now, by the way, this Kubiak kid, is that Gary Kubiak's son?
Yes.
Interesting. We got a lot of those situations where the father's a coach and the son, you never hear of him playing in the league, but suddenly they're a coach.
X and O's bright guy.
So with Shanahan has done that. I mean, even what Pete Carroll's kid was on the staff, wasn't he?
That was terrible. That's one of the reasons that whole thing fell apart in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's just real nepotism. Isn't it weird?
Yep. It happens a bunch of places. We'll see. Kubiak, his X's and O's history is pretty good. And a lot of people very impressed with what Kubiak did with Geno Smith and what Kubiak has now done with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a story there.
Yep. So we'll see where he winds up. Okay, we move on.
We move on, and let's go here to Christopher. He goes, can hardly wait for this. How many Chickens fans will be crying about the latest and final loss of the season? Let it go. It's only American football.
Okay, I'm not sure who he's critiquing.
It's got to be the Chargers, right?
Unless it's Charger fan, but this is gross underachievement. It's the third year in a row that this has happened. And this is less on Justin Herbert than it is more on Harbaugh and on that offensive coordinator. And they're going to have to solve that side of the equation. Obviously, they need a break because of all these injuries. It's just ridiculous. But at the end of the day, they've got a real problem, I think, in what did not happen with that offensive coordinator play calling and adjustment. And I felt so bad that Herbert was getting whacked the way he did, especially in the second half of the game. It was just like open season. It was like quarterback hunting. So Charger fans have a right to be angry. Again, they built this thing. But at the end of the day, in the bigger picture, as I said, you go back and look in the 2 years under Harbaugh, when they played big physical teams, the coach who espouses toughness, his team has gotten its ass kicked 6 games in a row. How many times this year, and that New England game was an ass kicking, how many times this year, and what happened at the end of last season? I mean, they had 6 games last season where they got mugged. So they got problems, and it's more than just getting injured guys back healthy. I think there's some other problems there.
That was a smackdown, man. I mean, that was a bad one. And, you know, what's interesting is I think those fans up in L.A. that have embraced the Chargers, they're getting a full dosage of charging. They're understanding what this is all about. But that game was just brutal. I mean, and it just goes to show you that it's so hard to be a fan of this team because they always find a way to, like, disappoint you.
Well, they had a stretch in the middle of that game because I chart play-by-play. They had 3 possessions. They ran only 15 plays in 3 possessions and a total of 57 yards in offense.
That ain't getting it done.
No, not at all. And Greg Roman is sitting there running the same stuff that wasn't working. I mean, there were no adjustments. I don't yell at the TV very often, but I'm sitting there watching this really good quarterback, Superman, get whacked. And I'm saying, where's your tight ends? Where's your H-backs to stay in to help pass protect? Where's the slant passes where you get isolations one-on-one on linebackers that speed receiver is going to break? Why is Herbert being asked to stand in the pocket, hold the ball for 5 to 7 seconds with traffic all over him getting hammered? You need to make adjustments when your game plan did not work. And then, as I said at the onset, Patriot players said in the locker room after the game, the Charger players told them coming off the field, we had no idea what we were going to see and what you guys ran. That's talk about stunts. That talked about delayed blitzes. Those guys are running free with direct shots on that quarterback, and there was nobody home to help block him. And the Charger receivers just got choked to death by Christian Gonzalez and that whole New England secondary. It was awful.
Well, do you think this goes back to the theory that we've got now 2 classes of coaches? You've got these guys that are battle tested and have coached in college or in pro ball, and they know the game. And then there's these super genius guys, like Shanahan or like Andy Reid, that can outsmart the conservative classic football coach. So then it makes you wonder, is Harbaugh and, frankly, both Harbaughs and Greg Roman part of that old school way of thinking?
I think they're best friends. And he trusts him to devise X's and O's. Well, these X's and O's didn't work. Last year's X's and O's didn't work. Like I said, they've had 33 possessions in 2 playoff games, and Greg Roman's offense has 1 touchdown. With that guy at quarterback.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And he's taking so many hits. That's where we are. Charger fans have a right to be upset. Social media has gone absolutely crazy. And Harbaugh's not what Harbaugh's been telling you or what everybody's projecting who he is.
There was some talk after the game about who's coming back. And Harbaugh seemed to be pleading with his stars to stay here and win one with Justin Herbert.
Well, you can win one if you get the bookend tackles back. You can win one if your running game is healthy, but it hasn't been. They've had so many injuries. So there'll be some changes on the roster. There have to be some changes on the roster. But I just asked the question. This coordinator has not gotten the job done here, and that quarterback's taken a terrible beating because of the X's and O's and the plays that coordinator's called.
Yeah, but he's not dealing with, he doesn't have like all of his tools,
right?
So it's hard to give him criticism. He sometimes needs a break, but at some point you got to say, screw it. We need a win. We need different people, different ideas.
You need to be more creative rather than doing the same thing with the same results.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's some teams that they really change it up at halftime. You could tell that some wizard is back there on the whiteboard saying, okay, guys, we're going to do this instead of that.
Yeah, and I also know fully that things will show up in a playoff game that you've never seen on video before. I mean, stunts, twists, delayed blitzes, show one thing, send somebody from somewhere else, and those guys were getting direct free runs at Justin Herbert. You have to be able to adjust, and I didn't see Roman do anything from an adjustment standpoint.
Would you put Mike Vrabel into that super genius category?
Guys executed. Well, that and his coordinators, whom he brought in, they ran some stuff. And Josh McDaniels, now here's a prime example. They really struggled. New England really struggled in the first half against the Chargers with blitzes and all that, but they made adjustments. You're going to send guys? Fine. I'm dumping the ball over the middle to the vacant hot receiver who ran to the spot where the blitzer came from. One of those passes turned out to be a 48-yard catch and run by the running back, Ramondre Stevenson, off a blitz. We've seen that blitz. You're going to come with that blitz. Stevenson read it, ran to the open seam. Drake May just dropped it in there. 48 yards later, first down, the ball's deep in Charger territory. That ball was at the 2-yard line. It was after a turnover. They started at the 2, their own 2. He had a 48-yard pass off a blitz.
I remember that.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Again, that's adjustment. See and do something different. So,
wow.
Okay, thank you for the input.
Okay, let's go to Casey, talk some Rams. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, my Rams game over the weekend was a nail-biter and felt like I aged about 10 years after that game. Anyway, how do you see my Rams matching up versus the Bears on Sunday?
Stafford just played with great courage, and they were blitzing the hell out of him. He stood in there, and he took some wicked hits, and he made plays. I would hope second week back, Devontae Adams will catch more balls. He dropped a lot of balls. There were 7 drop passes. He had about 3 or 4 of them, which are kind of rally killers. The tight ends, they finally got the ball to them, especially Parkinson at the end of the game. I'm a little concerned about the back end. Rams secondary is committing an awful lot of penalties, getting beat. This guy's running open. So I don't know if it's a byproduct of injuries or what it is, but they are not the complete team they were when most of us thought, you included, they were the number 1 seed. But they got experience. They got a lot of experience on their side. And they got Stafford, and obviously Caleb Williams is playing really, really well. So it was funny. I sat there and I had a knot in my stomach on Saturday. I said, oh, man, this is so hard to watch because they had that big lead and they were giving it away. And then just dun. But Stafford came back and won it for him. So next weekend's going to be something. That's a tough, short week. They're going to play,
Actually, that's all I want to talk about because the Rams get a long week. They go from a Saturday to a Sunday, right?
Yep. Yeah, some of the other
but
guys
the 49ers have the short week.
Yeah, San Francisco's got to go to Seattle on Saturday. The Rams play the Bears on Sunday. Buffalo goes to Denver on Saturday. That's going to be a challenge for the Bills. Short prep weekend and go into Denver. The other matchup, New England will be home on Sunday.
It seemed like there used to be a lot more rigidity there about keeping it fair and balanced. Now they got Monday night playoff games. I mean, that's only been a thing for a while, right?
Yeah, well, this is only this weekend only. Next week they go back to Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, next weekend is the best weekend of NFL football, I always thought.
Well, I'll tell you what, fourth quarter rallies this past weekend, pretty bloody impressive.
I agree.
Okay,
let's go back to Michael, more about the Chargers. Hey, why would Harbaugh not kick a field goal after that first turnover instead of going for a touchdown when they were having a problem moving the ball?
Well, they didn't even call any running plays. That was the amazing thing. They got the ball down, the 4-yard line, and they threw it, and they threw it, and they threw it instead of trying to pound it. And then during the course of the game, they kind of got away from the run. I just maintain you have to keep packing it in. You have to keep pushing it, and then you bust a run, and then suddenly it changes everything New England's doing, and they didn't. And instead, they played right into New England's hand because then they had Justin Herbert try to throw it so much. You're exposing him to such a fierce pass rush, and they couldn't block the pass rush, and they couldn't block the stunts and the twists and the delayed blitzes. And just what happened in the second half was just atrocious. So that's on Harbaugh, and that's on Greg Roman. But they did, they had the ball at the 4-yard line, and they tried to throw it into the end zone rather than power it into the end zone.
I was just really impressed with, the way that Herbert carried himself, and he was just getting smacked. And he kept getting up, he was in the arena, he was fighting, and he was giving it all he had, but he just had so much limitation.
He had no help.
And then, by the way, do you notice that Spillane kid is on the Patriots now? Remember, he used to be on the Raiders.
Yes.
And that guy's a good player.
Outspoken. He missed the middle of the season with an injury, and they just got him back. He's just a grinder.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, tough. I feel so bad about what's happened to Justin Herbert. You got an opinion? Feel free. Next one.
Okay, next one. We'll go here to Richard. Hey, I gave up on college football. It's become as sleazy as it gets. Players transferring, looking for a better deal. Coaches leaving programs for money and stabbing their kids in the back.
College football's broken. I don't know how they're going to fix it. I mean, Dan Lanning has just been so vocal about what the damn game has eroded into, but this is the game we have to live with, etc. It's interesting. I'm tracking. We'll talk about this maybe on Thursday when we get some breathing room. But I've been tracking San Diego State. They got 25 kids in the portal. Sean Lewis can't keep them. Everybody's leaving for money. And so he's gone out. I think as of this morning, I want to say he's signed 13, but he's hardly getting anybody from a big-time program. He did get a defensive tackle today from Colorado. He's got one other kid that's transferred in, but he's getting kids from Texas Southern, Western Colorado. So he's getting kids who are athletes that they're going to try to coach up. But that's not equal to losing Trey White and losing that inside linebacker. So it's college football is just a mess, and I don't know how they're going to get it under control.
Yeah, it's been like a turnstile, know. The indoor and the outdoor are both spinning, for every program. But some of these guys coming up for San Diego State look promising, It's almost like they've got to hit the jackpot on a few of these guys, right? They've got to be able to find that diamond in the rough that the other teams are just missing.
Coach them up, but there's no continuity.
None.
Last year's 9-4 season and that nationally ranked defense, that was a byproduct of all those kids coming back from the first year, which was miserable. And look what they turned into the second year because of continuity. And they're all gone.
Yeah, but every team is going through this.
Yeah.
So it's hard to bust out the violin and make a swan song about it. But I don't know what the hell Sean Lewis is going to do. It's hard.
Yeah. Just next wave, and it's intriguing to me that he's gone to the small college route. He's bringing so many kids in from smaller schools that they think are great athletes that they'll have to coach up. But there's no continuity, which means you're reteaching something brand new to strangers.
Yeah.
So
that's what it is.
That's exactly. Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's keep on trucking. We'll go here to Mike. Hey, Jalen Hurts threw into triple coverage on the final play when he could have thrown to other people in single coverage, and he was not under duress. He had more time, but he panicked, and the Eagles lost.
Yeah, Eagles are just a fractured team emotionally. There's so many distractions there and so many tantrums And, I think he trusts the tight end Gordert more than he trusts A.J. Brown. And, you got Devontae Smith, you got Saquon Barkley. So how could they be out of the playoffs with that team? And the defense really played well the second half of the season after they got through the trade deadline. But there's something not correct there, and there's too many prima donnas, and I think they got a huge problem with the offensive coordinator and play calling. And Sirianni's going to have to address that, or they'll address Sirianni's job status too.
Yeah, I know. Like Colin Cowherd was really ripping Sirianni. Just doesn't think he's anywhere near the kind of coach that Shanahan is, and I think it showed.
Yeah, they've had a really weird season considering who they were last year and how good they were last year. So. Boy, Philadelphia.
The Super Bowl champs, they're out.
Past tense.
Yeah.
And it's winter weather. Boy, Eagle fans are beside themselves.
Eagles. Okay, let's go here to Joe. He goes, hey, guys, hypothetical question on Aztec basketball. If you could place the 4 best teams of all time in a round-robin contest, 2010 Kawhi, 2014 Thames, 2020 COVID, and 2023 national runner-up, who would be your mythical NCAA champ? Joseph from Brazil.
Well, you're asking me to tap back on past information. I don't know if my brain's got enough room in it. Those teams are all so spectacular. And we're viewing the Kawhi Leonard of today, superstar Hall of Fame candidate, to an unfinished product at San Diego State. He was not that type of offensive player when he played for the Aztecs.
Not even close.
He was such a great defensive player, rebounder, etc. So it's really hard. If you had a 4-team tournament, that's a huge question. You're talking about the Malachi Flynn team, of 20?
That's the COVID one in 2020.
2020, Malachi Flynn and all them. They've had so many really good basketball teams. That's a great question. You have to run that through a computer.
Well, I think the answer is obvious. The team that went to the national championship, the Kawhi team in 2010 was great, but they got screwed over by Kemba Walker, on that whole mess then.
So you're buying the Nathan Mensah team.
Well, yeah, I think each of these got better. The 2014 Thames team went to the Sweet 16, but it was kind of, he would score like 30 points a game. The COVID team was the one that should have happened that never did. And that was a team that had chemistry, and they had great guys on that squad and guys that are all playing pro right now. And maybe not in the NBA, but in Europe and elsewhere. Right. And then, but that 2020-23 team with Mensah and AG, that was a sweet team, man. Butler, Keishad, what a great run that was.
Yeah. Maybe you just answered the question. 2023 was better than any of the others.
Yeah. Unless somehow a COVID team with Malachi Flynn would have shocked us, because they could have been a 1 or a 2 seed if that tournament didn't get canceled.
Exactly. Good question, Joe. Checking back in history. Thank you.
All right, let's go here to Joey. You guys are awesome. What kind of run can the Rams go on? What will the Raiders do with the first pick?
Well, I don't think Dante Moore should come out. And I would hope that those meetings that are going on right now between Dan Lannon and Dante Moore will bring him back to Eugene one more year. He's only played 19 or 20 games in his entire career, and he's vibrant. He's explosive, but he's not ready for the National Football League. So that being said, Mendoza's the right guy at pick number 1. But is Mendoza a Hall of Fame big-time thrower? No. I think Mendoza manages games and makes plays down the field. I think the bigger storyline is what do they do with the rest of those draft picks? They have 11 picks in all and a lot of free agent money, and they need a lot of help. So I would think Mendoza, Geno Smith, who's under this long-term big money contract, Ashton Genty, the 2 tight ends, the left tackle Colton Miller. That's a starting point. But, boy, they need so much help along that front, and that defense is deplorable. So what they do with the other draft picks is going to be critically important, too, for the Raider Nation. And in terms of the Rams, they can get on a run. They just don't look like the same football team do right now, especially in the secondary. And this time of the year, you're playing good people every Sunday in the playoffs. So Stafford's done a great job carrying them, but they need a little bit more on defense, and I haven't seen that recently.
Talking about Dante Moore, have you seen this analysis? And it is floating around on X today. And drafting a quarterback in the top 5 with less than 20 college starts is risky.
Sure.
In the last 30 years, there have been 6 taken. They were Achilles Smith, Mark Sanchez, Mitch Trubisky, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance, and Anthony Richardson. So every one of those guys is either a bust or hasn't quite panned out yet.
Murray is the only one that's had any success, and that's been in a short window.
Yeah.
The other guys have been washouts.
So, if I'm the Raiders, I trade out of that first pick. You know, maybe you take Mendoza. There's some school of thought to that. But my hunch is they have so many needs. I would trade out of that. The Rams, I had them as the favorite, maybe in the playoffs to be the NFC champion in week 14 of the year. And now I don't know what to think about
It's
them.
not the same team.
Yeah.
At least defensively, it's not the same team.
No, yeah.
But what has to happen in Chicago is Devontae Adams has to have a real bounce-back game, and that means catching all the passes. They just got Tyler Higbee back at one tight end. They got Parkinson at the other. Throw to those guys some. Puka is Puka. The two running backs are really good. I mean, they've got virtually every component at the skill position, but I don't like what's gone on in the back end of that defense. And Caleb Williams, he's got a lot of weapons, so this game could turn out to be a shootout.
Yeah, and what will probably happen is the Rams will probably have a lead at the halftime, and then the Bears are going to go for their big comeback in the second half.
Yeah. We'll see. It's going to be good. It's going to be quite a game.
Okay, let's go here to HB949 Jeff. Hey, hello, Lee and John. It's just absurd. So many NFL teams going for it on fourth down. Not kicking a field goal or giving the other team great field position. It's bleeping insane.
Momentum. I mean, Chargers, they get the ball at the 4 and at the 2, and they don't score a touchdown. And they went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. Take the points. And in terms of the Rams, I mean, they're up 17-7 and own that game in Carolina, and they go on, I think it might have been 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, and don't get it. Go for the field goal, make it 20-7. Instead, Carolina gets aroused because they stop them on fourth down, and the whole chemistry of that game changed. Right into the fourth quarter in the final possession where finally Matthew Stafford got the game-winning touchdown for them. So there's an awful lot of 4th and 4. If it's 4th and 1, tush-push, Josh Allen style of football, I guess you can do it. But I'd much rather have points.
Yeah, there definitely seemed to be a lot more of it than we normally see in the regular season. And generally, I'm open to it. I kind of like the little bit of creativity. But the thing is that like when the Chargers, they went for a fourth down and missed it, but then the same thing happened with the Patriots. Didn't they have a fourth down and miss it?
They got stopped.
And then the second time it happened for the Chargers, you weren't sure if Harbaugh was going to go for it. He ended up kicking the field goal, made it 3-3. And I thought, okay, that was a sound choice. But there's other teams that were going for it like 3 or 4 times during the course of the game and getting snuffed most every time. I mean, at some point you got to say, man, you're kind of over your skis going for it on fourth down. You don't need to take an unnecessary risk.
Is it 4th and 1? Then maybe you do it. But if it's 4th and a long 2, if it's 4th and 4, I don't think so.
Well, especially if there's 3 points that could be automatic.
Exactly. Okay, we move on.
Let's go here to Jesuso. And he says, Chargers offensive coordinator needs to go. Horrible play calling in the red zone. O-line sucks. Nothing but bums in the O-line.
Well, if you go across the board, Jam Salyer, the left tackle, he held up okay. Zion Johnson had a better season this year than he did last year. Bozeman was terrible at center. Becton's not worth the money they paid. He got beat so many times. The right tackle, Pipkins, is just marginal at best. So in all essence, 3 of their 5 linemen didn't pan out because they didn't have Alt, and obviously they lost the left tackle Slater, and then Becton turned out to be a bomb. So, 3 or 5 guys, and then you're playing all these backups, and these guys are unemployed for a long period of time because they're not good enough to be starters in the NFL or maybe even be backups. And those guys, the Bobby Harts and the Pennings, didn't play at all yesterday. So they need to get, and they will get Slater and Alt back, but obviously they need a new center, and then they're going to have to make a decision. Did they make a mistake? They gave Becton $9 million. He's just god-awful. He just can't move. He can't stay healthy. And for a guy that's played this much in the league, when the New York Jets don't want you anymore and they got a crap offensive line, that doesn't say very much about you.
Yeah. But he started in that game, didn't he? Against the Patriots?
Yeah, he played. He was in there the whole time, but he was getting beat like everybody else.
Well, yeah. I mean, that offensive line, it was just a disaster. It was like, Herbert was playing Frogger. He would like be in the back of his pocket, and he'd have to take one step this way, two steps that way, one step this way in order to pass because it was such chaos.
Yeah, and their ability to understand what was coming schematically, the handoffs, the help, just absolute failure in the course of the game. So they're going to have to rethink this offensive line again, and they're going to have to go get some more, draft more offensive linemen, and they need some good luck. They don't need Slater and Alt to get hurt, and so those guys will be back. But, God, what a terrible way to end the season, and what a terrible beating that Justin Herbert took.
Yeah, and he's looking forward to his offseason.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go here to Nathan. Because I can't believe I couldn't watch the Bears game because I don't have damn Amazon Prime account.
Well, you can go to a pub, go to a bar, go to a restaurant. I do it too. I'm not like the man that owns the castle that runs this podcast, he subscribes to everything. But yeah, there's ways around it, and I enjoy getting out and seeing the fans, et cetera, and watching games in the pub sometimes. I do it sometimes on Thursday Night Football, so. It is hard, though, because everything has been splintered. Everything is now in a different streaming thing, and everything is subscription. And, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah, well, the world's changed, man, It's not like we have our old, UHF and VHF and the rabbit ears and everything. I mean, things have changed. And so I think in a lot of ways, people don't necessarily need to sign up for the $150, $200 a month cable bill when you could just a la carte the things you want. Because Amazon is, I don't know, what does it cost? It's like $10 a month or something like that. It's a lot cheaper than a full like Cox cable package.
Right.
Okay, let's keep on going here. And this is an interesting comment from Mike. I'd love to see the Harbaugh brothers coach the same team together. I had the same idea.
Nah, that's not going to happen. One of them would have to be head coach, the other would be subservient to his brother. I don't think that's going to work. Jim's got something to prove. All the sales pitch about toughness and who we are and what we stand for and how come you're 0-2 the last two seasons and not competitive in postseason. And John's going to get a chance to reinvent himself somewhere else. The structure is going to be a little bit different if he winds up with the New York Giants than it was in Baltimore, but he's still a great coach. I was told by one of the Baltimore guys that I network with, the players wept in the exit meetings with Harbaugh after he was fired. The players just really universally liked that type of leadership. So it's going to be an interesting week to see how quickly this happens because, as I said at the onset of the podcast, he was contacted by 9 teams, including teams that still had head coaches. And he's only going to interview for 3 positions, hand-chosen. And I think the Giant job is the best job of all because there's a lot of pieces in place. So you get veteran leadership with success, makes a world of difference.
But we all know about Jim Harbaugh's playing career, but did John Harbaugh play?
No, he's special teams coach.
Did he play in college or in the NFL?
Yeah, played in college, but he didn't play in the NFL.
Okay.
Special teams guy, though. Smart guy.
Well, yeah, and their father is like a coaching guru.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Okay. All right, let's keep on going. Talk some hockey here with Steve. Hey, Lee, are you enjoying watching the Sharks rebuild? I think they look good, but their defense needs work. Celebrini is a magician out there. Special talent. Wow.
Well, when you had back-to-back really high picks, they got Celebrini and Will Smith back-to-back, both of them out of the collegiate ranks. And those guys, they just showed up and they played really well. It's taken them a long time, but they lost for a long time. They had such a great run with Joe Thornton and Burns on defense, etc. But those guys grew old together. They had salary cap issues because those guys are knocking down big money. And then you go through the changes where these guys are dealt away and start to lose. It takes time. That's why it's so hard to see what's going on in Anaheim because they've lost. They had their Stanley Cup run. Everybody made big money. Team got old. They got jettisoned everybody, and they started to rebuild with all these young draft picks. And it looked like they had arrived at the start of the season. But, as of this morning, they've lost 9 in a row. They've gone from first place to under 500 now.
Wow.
And they're just not scoring goals. And then the goaltenders have just not made the number of saves they made the first third of the seasons. So It's tough. And when you're rebuilding with kids, but Celebrini and Will Smith, the other kid, I think he came out of Boston College or Boston University. Boy, those are really good young hockey players.
Yeah, right. Well, right on. I mean, it's nice to see the Sharks being relevant. I like that. But I want to ask you, Lee, like right now at this point in the season, who, if you were to place a bet in Vegas, would be the odds-on favorite to be in the Stanley Cup final?
Dallas has got a lot of firepower. Dallas got a lot of veterans. And Florida is Florida. Back-to-back cups, Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, all those guys. Florida, Dallas could well be it. But are you healthy by the time you get to the finish line? That's the burning question. So we still got half a season to go. The surprise team in the NHL right now is Montreal. What the Canadiens are doing, they're in first place with kids. And they've made one trade to get a veteran. I think they made the trade to get the LA Kings center iceman, and there's another trade coming. I believe that they're going to try to get one of the gritty wingers out of Calgary, just to add a little physicality to Montreal. So Montreal has just had an amazing first half of the season so far.
Love the Hacksaw Dictionary busting out. He's gritty, Just fantastic.
And I should mention Colorado's a hell of a franchise.
Yeah, they are.
Hell of
it's
a
all
roster.
good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay, here, let's go to John. And he says, hey, Lee, I like that VMI cadet sweater.
Yeah. Hey, it was in the closet. It was clean. I put it on. Virginia Military Institute.
Okay. What else do we got here, Lee? We've got a bunch on here. Here it is. This is Greg. I wanted to get Greg's question here. It's kind of a funny one. No, this one here. Any chance Pete Carroll gets the open defensive coordinator job at USC?
No, I think he will retire at age 74. I think this is a bitter ending, and I don't think it went down very well. I think he probably feels betrayed by John Spytek and maybe to a degree by Tom Brady. Does he share blame? Yeah, he shares blame. His coaching staff had some real internal problems, so that's on him. But they didn't give him enough time. What the hell did you expect? This is more about the dysfunction of Mark Davis than it is anything. They got a long road back. They got a lot of things to fix. I'll be intrigued to see if Brady's input is going to help them grow this thing at a faster pace. And, of course, USC is interviewing people. And this story that I dug up this morning, that they're interviewing Gary Patterson, the former head coach who built his resume as a defensive coordinator at Texas Christian. That's a pretty good veteran head coach, so maybe he comes in and fixes it. But they obviously got to fix the defense.
Yeah, I don't see Pete Carroll coming back. I mean, how old is he?
74.
So he's just going to retire,
Yep.
Don't you think?
It ended badly, and I don't know anybody that I canvass with around the NFL that thought that this would be a mistake. Everybody of the opinion, energy, intelligence, leadership. He checks off all the boxes and got there, and then he lost all these players, and it was what a hodgepodge roster. It just bad.
Yeah, I mean, he might have hit the end of the line, or maybe some team picks him up as a consultant or something, but I can't imagine him head coaching or definitely not being a defensive coordinator working for Lincoln Riley.
I felt bad that it ended this way for him because he's such a smart guy, such a positive guy. I think he's such a good person. And again, I'm speaking based on relationships I had with him when he was at USC and I was doing sports talk radio, and he liked me and I liked him. I respected it.
Well, you were the voice of the Trojans then, right?
But that was before he got there. I was there when they were struggling, post John Robinson era, and then Pete came after they had left their station. So I did him for 3 years of kind of mediocre football. But God, he did so many great things. So
yeah,
I felt really bad.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I think so. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. He goes, after Cincinnati and Indiana blow out Miami next Monday, they will join Bob Knight's Hoosiers team from 50 years ago as the two most recent teams to hold perfect, undefeated seasons.
Well, I told John last week, Indiana has played football for 136 years. I think their composite record in college football was 517, 715 losses. Think about that. And they're 26-2 with Cignetti. He's driven. Now, I think Cignetti's got a chip on his shoulder. People of the opinion, okay, you brought all these kids in here. Let's see if you can continue this beyond the first year. Well, they did the second year because they got the quarterback, and now they're getting a quarterback out of Josh Hoover from Texas Christian, he's coming in, so he'll be the quarterback next year. So we'll see if Cignetti can continue the acquisitions from a player personnel standpoint that kept him at this very high level. But he's driven. My goodness, is he driven.
This is the most spectacular story in sports that I can remember in some time.
It's quite a flip job. I agree.
You know, I mean, if you were to take seasons that you could turn into a movie. I mean, there's this
version of Hoosiers, the basketball movie.
Exactly. You know, and then you could probably go back in time and say, okay, the Miracle on Ice team, and there are certain moments in sports history. This is one of them, and we're watching history unfold in real time.
Yeah, he's really something. But again, the landscape's changed, and everybody's got money now. And now guys who would have never, ever considered playing at Indiana or going to Indiana, because they can get a payday just like they can go to Texas Tech and get a payday, or maybe Oregon.
Well, Mark Cuban just gave him $6 million.
$6 million, that's right. He's an Indiana alum.
There's more Indiana alumni than any university in America right now.
Showing up.
Yeah, and they're putting their money in the package.
And when in lifetime did you ever think you and I'd be talking Indiana football rather than Indiana hoops?
Yeah, it's just a crazy story. I'm really happy for them. Okay, let's move on here. Talk some some Bears with Ben. This is with Carlos. Ben Johnson, coach of the Bears, showing and demonstrating how low class he is by telling his players, F the Packers, during the postgame speech. I hope the Rams take his ass out next week to Cancun.
Yeah, his postgame handshake was kind of shabby with LaFleur after they won that game. And then the junk, he said, there's no reason to say that. Win with class. You know, why are you saying F the Packers? Some of that stuff comes back to haunt you. I mean, emotion, there's an intangible use of emotion, and that will be bulletin board Packers-Bears twice next season. Why would you do that? Why be so stupid? Celebrate your team.
This is you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Okay. First of all, it's a classic rivalry. Okay, you got a new coach that's trying to be, the new Mr. Chicago, that trying to rally up all the Bears fans, Chicagoland, Windy City, get them all fired up. Yeah, F them Packers. I think it's fine. I mean, it's just any of the hype that goes with rivalries, I think is terrific. And he's got a lot to celebrate, so I don't have a problem with it. But the Rams, there's no way they're going to, kick Ben Johnson down to Cancun. I don't see that happening. Right?
I think the Rams can put up a great game in Chicago. And you got Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford is everything a star quarterback and a leader should be. And by the way, that guy on the Rams sideline, yeah, he's got an edge to him too, Sean McVay.
Oh, yeah,
That'd be a good game.
It's going to be fantastic. Yep. Okay, let's go here to Callan. He goes, hey, how about Manfred's comments on doing a split-season format?
Well, I don't know that I buy first half, second half. Is that important? Because your team coming off the All-Star break is not going to be radically different than the one that went into the All-Star break. So why is important first half, second half be two things? I do like the idea of maybe a World Cup in baseball around the All-Star break. Maybe it's a week-and-a-half tournament or a week tournament. I like that concept. From a marketing standpoint, this is why he brought up the free agent deadline window. This is the only window you can sign free agents. Why not? Because it's all about marketing, and it's grabbing the baseball fan by the shirt and say, hey, follow us the first 3 weeks of December, because that's where all the money is going to be spent. So he's trying to do some more creative things from a marketing standpoint. I like that idea.
It does seem, though, that baseball's trying too hard to try to attract the young fan, to try to be more mass appealing.
But it's worked.
It has worked.
Pitch clock, pal.
Yeah, that has worked.
It has worked. I mean, the demographics of people watching on TV, the demographics of the fans, the attendance numbers, that's all driven by creative, different stuff.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of this, the split season format, when I first heard the proposal, I thought it was still one big season. Okay, but it reminds me of that one year, though, that remember there was a strike in the middle of the year and they had to have two separate halves. Yep. And they had like a little playoff between those teams,
division winners,
to see who was going to advance. And I remember that one year, the Montreal Expos had the best record for the whole year.
And got screwed.
Because they were not in first place for either half.
Yep.
So that weird stuff happens.
Yeah, there's some mechanics to have first half, second half. I don't like that at all, but I'd rather see some other marketing stuff. But end of the day, Manfred just has done a lot of creative things that I think are positive, despite the insistence of the union. You're screwing the game up.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
Okay, here's a two-parter from Bobella. We'll start with the fun one. Hacksaw, Limbaugh, Hartman, Sesmat 40, Werndell, Rick Schwartz 690 forever.
Here, here. Yeah, we did it. We did it differently. We were the first ones doing it, so you're damn right. It was really good sports talk radio.
And then here's this real question. He goes, hey, is Harbaugh Marty 2.0?
Wow, good question. Marty's history in postseason plays is not very good. I think his composite record in playoff games, this guy won 200 games in his career, was 5-11. He just didn't change. He could not adjust to whatever was happening in front of him. And I sat there and I saw it, and that's the stigma that Marty Schottenheimer carried with him through the course of the end of his career into retirement, was just absolute postseason failure. And it's hard to win in postseason. The greatest coaches in the NFL, their postseason record is just a shade above 500. That's how hard postseason football is. So I'm bothered by what I've seen from Harbaugh. I'm bothered by what I tend to think are mistakes that should have been corrected, had to be corrected. You need to be creative, and I don't get that sense from Harbaugh. So he's linking Harbaugh to Marty Schottenheimer in terms of postseason results.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad comparison. I mean here's Kenny G's same comment. Is Jim Harbaugh overrated? And he goes on to say, I wanted the Bolts to hire Mike Vrabel. Was Vrabel even considered?
I believe they talked his name. I don't think he ever had the interview. But I also firmly know the NFL mandated to Dean Spanos, you owe us. We allowed you to go to L.A.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You put a substandard product on the field. You've hired cheap head coaches. You owe us. And the league really implored him to pay the going price to get Harbaugh. And Harbaugh's making zillions of dollars. So,
yeah, I mean it was like if you didn't take Harbaugh, you were an idiot, right? I mean that was all the hype was around him.
Yep.
I wonder, knowing what we know now from what happened with Michigan and all that drama, I wonder if Spanos would do it differently now.
No, because Spanos has no knowledge. He just, I like Harbaugh. I think what his accomplishments, be it at tiny University of San Diego, what he did in a tough situation at Stanford, what he obviously accomplished with the 49ers, what he did at Michigan. I mean, pretty high standard of how to get to that finish line. But the stuff that has come out, 5 sets of NCAA violations in 10 years under his run, that's pretty sleazy. So you have to step back and you have to look at, what does Harbaugh really represent? And now you throw into this back-to-back failures with this great young quarterback, Justin Herbert. So I guess maybe I look at Harbaugh a little bit differently than you. I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said, he was like a what do they call that? The church reveler. You had a name for it. It was a barker. It was like a carnival barker. Yeah. Where it was all hype, there wasn't like a lot of substance. And it's interesting. You ever notice that when they show Harbaugh on the sidelines, he's usually not talking to anyone in his headset. Mm-hmm. It just kind of makes you wonder, like, what's going on?
Well, he delegates to the coordinators.
Okay.
So, but dealing with Harbaugh is like going to a tent revival speech.
That's the one. That's the line.
After a while, it's okay.
Yes.
But it gets old. And some of his press conferences where he starts quoting Churchill or Chaucer or Tennyson. My God, give me a break. We're asking you a question about why your offensive coordinator did not make adjustments. Don't start quoting Winston Churchill. But that's him. Or is it me? Maybe I got a shortcoming.
No, but you've been bringing this up for a while.
Yeah. Okay, that's where we are.
That's where
Move on.
Move on. We're going to need to wrap this up.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, we're going to close out today. This has been spectacular. I cannot tell you how great it is to have you with us. Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30, we're here. Share, subscribe to the podcast. You'll get the alerts. Want you to make sure you check my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. I write on it every day, and we thank you for being part of this. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us a great deal. John will take a deep breath, watch Monday Night Football, get ready for Thursday, and then weekend 2 of the NFL playoffs. Going to be great.
Plus, we're going to have the college football championship.
A week from Monday.
A week? Oh, so it's in 2 weeks.
No, it's next Monday.
Okay, so right, that's what I'm saying. So next weekend.
We'll preview
it
on Monday. So we had a lot to cover. Always great to have you on board. Thanks for being part of this podcast, making it as great as it is. Brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Go to DixieLine.com to see all the things they have to offer. John, have yourself a great day. You have a great day. We'll see you Thursday at 1:30. Thank you for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.